Today's video is all about OCTASPACE, distributed computing, VPN, and data storage. We're going to be doing a deep dive looking at some of the fundamental key characteristics that could make us really bullish and being prepared to buy the dips at lower levels. So you know what? Let's go right into it. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. And what we do is looking for opportunities with projects that have good fundamentals, buying low and selling high. And today's video is all about OCTASPACE. Guys, you know, it's a pretty interesting, very interesting project, part of a very interesting narrative. And of course, on the channel, we've been talking about many narratives and some competitors, potential competitors to OCTASPACE, but I did figure that, you know, there's a little bit of talk, there's a bit of whisper with regards to OCTASPACE, so I figured why not do a nice deep dive so we can really get a grasp of what this project is about. Okay, so let's get right into it. Let's continue here, guys. We're going to take a look at the website first, and we'll kind of, you know, let our, you know, flow get into the different aspects of the project. We'll go on the Twitter, we'll go on the, you know, the white papers, we'll do our thing here and do some price action towards the end. We'll take a look at the chart and see if we can get a great entry here on OCTASPACE. If you're fundamentally bullish, you definitely have to be looking for those retracements, guys. OCTASPACE has been doing very well in the last little while. You know, we don't promote buying green candles, but at the end of the day, OCTASPACE could be looking for higher levels in, you know, future days to come. So let's continue here. So what is OCTASPACE? I think it's a really important thing to define what it is, because what it is very, you know, it's very diverse. There's a lot happening here with this project. It's basically a one-stop shop. It's a one-stop shop for, let's say, computing services in general, a decentralized service that offers computing services. And I'm going to highlight the concept of decentralized. Okay, so this is one of the value propositions of OCTASPACE, is of course offering those services to individuals that are looking for computing power. But the other value proposition is that it's a full decentralized platform, both with a layer 1 and layer 2 blockchain happening here. So for me, that's something really interesting to actually, you know, highlight and dig a little bit deeper into, especially when you're comparing it to other platforms that offer, you know, processing services such as Render or Cash, or, you know, there's a couple other out there that are offering these types of services, but nothing like Octa. Octa is a bit different here. So OCTASPACE is a user-friendly cloud platform that grants access to distributed computing. This is important here: distributed computing, data storage services, VPN, and more, a lot more. So in this case, it's a one-stop shop. That's why they have to put that more in there, because it does offer, and it wants to offer, a lot of services here with regards to offering computing services. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned, basically professional, Octa makes it easy for you. Okay, tap into the combined power of CPU, GPU resources. Again, the GPU concept has been very popular nowadays. This concept of being able to use decentralized services or GPU power, such as Render, for example, and being able to kind of get rewarded for offering those GPU services, right? So this is something to consider here. The only thing that, again, what I want to highlight is the decentralization of both their entire network here, but the way the ecosystem works, the way the marketplace works, is decentralized. And we'll get into a little bit more detail with regards to that very soon. Resources on basically nodes worldwide, you know, even challenge tasks. You can become a host and earn rewards by renting out your spare CPU, GPU, or even traffic. Secure your data with VPN services and enjoy effortless file storage. So this is the thing here, guys. It's a pretty much well-rounded, you know, one-stop shop for a lot of these services. But you know, a lot of the times we look for specialization. We look for a project to focus and become really good at one thing and not become a jack of all trades. So this could be both a positive and a negative for some people, and depending on the context or, you know, the lens that you put on here. For me, it's pretty interesting. As the market grows, as we see a lot of these software solutions enter the market, it would be absolutely normal to see a company here or an organization want to offer multiple aspects of computing services. Almost look at your telecommunications company. First of all, they start out with maybe offering phone services, and then they offer internet services, and then they offer this and that and this, television and all that kind of stuff. But right now, OCTASPACE is coming out full force and wanting to integrate a lot of these services. Again, one-stop shop under one roof. And I think that's good. I think it's a good thing. It could be that the market is ready for such a thing. So let's continue here. Let's continue on the website. By the way, the website is impeccable. It is beautiful, well designed, and nice and clear. I like the way, the color schematic, good design. And for me, as a with my marketing background, for me, this is really, really, it's a nice website. Let's put it that way. So I like the fact that this roadmap is nice and clear. As an investor, you want to know where this project is going, where are they stopping and hesitating. And right now you can see they're hesitating right around this level, which, as their services kind of integrate into their ecosystem and get released, you're going to expect that they're going to want to, focus a bit. Here we have browser extensions for their VPN services. So it seems like where they are right now currently is trying to get this VPN service out there. Okay, both for Android and browser extension, I'm assuming for Chrome and other browsers perhaps. Okay, so this is an interesting one, a decentralized VPN service, which is very common nowadays. We're seeing a few projects coming out with this idea. Again, they're tackling many options or many services here within the decentralized world for computing power, and one of them is the VPN. For me, this is a good one. This is a good one. It is very, very necessary. I do talk about it here on the channel that VPNs are going to be the future, and I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes almost like a staple. One of the things that every home network is going to want to have in order to keep secure. It's already in the works to see VPNs integrated or basically VPN services being integrated right into the modem of your network. So for me, that's an interesting one to see this happen. And one more interesting thing that looks like where they're currently at is the bridge to the Binance Smart Chain. Of course, you want to get that liquidity in. You want to get that option to bounce back and forth within both networks. Guys, this is great. This is what's necessary. Just keep in mind that bridges usually are levels or areas of which you can get vulnerability. So this is something that we got to keep our eye on, but nonetheless, it is a step in the right direction with regards to opening up OCTA to another chain or another network. So I like this. This is so far so good. They talk to you about what they're going forward with, and I'm assuming that there's going to be a bit more happening going forward because this project is super, super young. We're going to talk about the tokenomics and all of that very, very soon. But let's continue on the website and kind of iron this out before we continue. Another area of, a little bit of a clue that this project is very new is that, look at the data here. CPU, I don't even know what kind of metrics this is. What is the unit of measurement? 368 CPU. I don't know what that means. What does this mean? That means that you have 368 CPUs, or is it hertz, or what is it? So let's get a little bit more detail here. Same with the GPU, a little bit more detail. Here you have your unit of measurement with regards to RAM, 1,000 gigs of RAM. Okay, it's good, no doubt. But the disk space, 9.6 terabytes of disk space, guys. The average computer nowadays, supercomputers or good computers that you have a lot more. So, you can see that these numbers are, half of them are arbitrary and half of them, they're not that high. But again, this is small cap project right now. It's in its infancy. And the reality is, are you going to wait to invest when this thing is already big? When you see disk space of, 1,000 terabytes or, 1,000,000 terabytes, by that time, this project will be very, in that case, reach its maturity and its value will be really high. So you got to think about being an investor here as well as a trader. Here on the channel, we talk about trading quite a bit. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at these new projects, you might want to think about, long-term investment as well. And you're getting in a scenario that is very new, very young. And in this case, a lot of potential gains for the future, right? So this is the context, this is the lens that you need to put on here when you're looking at this project and many other projects that we do deep dives on, because that's why we do the deep dives. We want to look into the projects when there is no real price action just yet and no mass adoption. So this is where we're at right now. Pretty good. Okay, good starting point. Let's get this ecosystem going. With that said, they need more users. They need more people to come on and share their disk space, share their GPU and CPU power. They also need both ends. They need people wanting to use these resources and pay for these resources, which is, again, part of the whole value proposition that OCTASPACE has, which is, a decentralized way of distributing this type of resources. These resources are distributed in a decentralized way where the marketplace itself is hosted by OCTASPACE, of course, but at the end of the day, the individual let's say providers of these resources can set their own prices on the OCTASPACE, ecosystem. For me, that is a very decentralized way. Instead of OCTASPACE basically putting in their own pricing mechanism, OCTA basically allows the infrastructure to work independently. So individual contributors can set their own prices for their resources. Again, a very, very open source type of decentralized, invisible hand type of economics here. Okay, so relying on supply and demand to basically justify the price of the resource. For me, that is great. Removing the centralization or the control aspect that OCTA could have over the pricing and allowing the market to create its own price for the resources. Guys, that's exactly what we need here in the crypto space, because the more we see influence on the, let's say, the creator, the CEO, and the project management and all that kind of stuff, the more centralization we have. Okay, so we want to get away from that, and that's one of the key aspects that I focus here on the channel, is to really focus on the projects and give credit to the projects that truly encompass what cryptocurrency is meant to be, which is decentralization. So I really do like this. These are the resources again, and the way they distribute these resources for me is pretty good. I don't know if my language right now is perfect to explain exactly what I mean here, but right now, this is the most decentralized way or project that I've seen basically distribute these types of resources, right? So let's continue here. What else do we have? We have some available images. These are, I guess, some of the ways you can use the rendering or some of the services. And I can see Blender here, of course, a rendering service. And that's where we can potentially see further applications and relationships with some of these projects, with some of these, other brands here within the space. So for me, that's an interesting thing as well. The fact that their partnerships, we're going to get into their partnerships in a second. Their network, okay, a lot of happening here. Nodes, very little, 135 nodes, not much happening. Hash rate, okay, fine. Their era, we'll talk about the era in a second. We're going to get onto a chart that they've publicized. Speaking about their era, which, is another good concept with regards to its tokenomics. Staking, okay, so this many octa and block time. So on their white papers, they do discuss a 15-second speed of their block time. In this case, they are actually running below. So 13 seconds is pretty quick. So it's pretty good. They're actually basically faster than they expected to be. Good stuff there. So their VPN, again, something that we got to look forward to, something that I am actually looking forward to with regards to this narrative picking up in the crypto space. So I'm keeping an eye on Octa with regards to that. Locations, global, of course, we understand why. Okay, let's move on. The team for me is, okay, it's a 50-50 thing, but nonetheless, it should be, there's no issue here. We have the main man, in my opinion, right now is Tarek, if I'm pronouncing his name right. I think Tarek or Tarek. Right now, he is the project manager. I would say he's the face of the organization right now. And to be honest, the value proposition by having him as the face, in my opinion, is really high. I did watch a few podcasts, a few interviews by him. Very well-spoken individual, bright and aggressive in the correct way that you want from a leader. So for me, that's a positive thing, a very, very positive thing that you can't really apply to, a deep dive in a traditional form, because you're looking at an individual. But a lot of the times what we have to do is realize that one individual in a team is a very positive thing and can drive the team in the right direction. In this case, we have a few team members, but also because he is so strong, and I believe that he is very, very well spoken and could be one of the greatest leaders right now that I've seen in small cap projects. In my opinion, it becomes almost very centralized. Without him, where does this project go? right? So that's something that I really want to touch upon, with the aspect of the team. And right now, with regards to that, I really question. And again, I don't mean to be very negative here, but Tarek, he seems to have other obligations. Now, of course, that is absolutely normal, especially with startups, with small business, whatever you want to call it. But then we have to also question his dedication and what percentage of his working day is going to be allocated to Octa. Here on the channel, I try to be very objective. I want to be very straightforward, very transparent, and that's all I want to do here. And I'm not saying anything negative, but I am saying that he is fully employed in another software company. And that, for me, shows me that maybe he's not full on right now Octa. So what does that mean? Who is basically in the driver's seat? If he's not in the driver's seat and he's in the passenger seat, who's in the driver's seat? Right now, we have a lead developer, Artem. Of course, we have to have some development. None of these developers that are docs, which are just these two at the current moment, have any blockchain or disclosed blockchain experience from the past. Not that it is necessary. I know it is an emerging market and there's not much out there, but there's nothing disclosed that there is. He could be a full stack developer, no doubt, and very capable, but there's no previous experience that is, clearly disclosed here with blockchain and within the blockchain community. So both positive and a bit of, like, it would be nice for them to have backgrounds in blockchain, wouldn't it not? So that's something to consider. Not that it's necessary, but something to consider. Okay. So, and then you have the rest of the team that is not fully docs, and that's totally fine because we do have the face, both a developer and the project management. And at the end of the day, this dude right here, I think is a great leader. So I do fully back the team right now. The team is really good. Just a few, little things to consider. And once again, transparency is key for me. What else do we have? A few links. We have GitHub, Discord, Telegram. They're on the major socials, of course, YouTube, and all of that, Twitter. Speaking about their Twitter activity, and we're going to do my infographic is coming up, so don't worry, guys. We'll talk about that. We'll do a bit of a summary and a bit of, an overall consensus here. But the Twitter, right now it's very difficult for a lot of projects, especially projects that are new that maybe don't have, that much funding for their marketing, and it's quite difficult because we're in a bear market. We can see that the market has been going sideways. There's not much retailer involved right now in this space. And the people that are currently in this space keeping it alive are individuals that are basically in the system already, that understand the value proposition of blockchain technology. And right now they are here to stay. But as soon as we get the retail market involved, we're going to see some good hype and some good momentum and all that good stuff. But what is OCTASPACE doing with regards to the most popular social space right now with regards to Twitter, or X, if you want to move forward? X right now, they're lacking a little bit. They need a little bit more oomph in that, in the sense that we're going to look at some of the data. At the end of the day, their Twitter following has been decreasing just a bit, and that's very normal. I've been seeing, tracking projects, a lot of projects, and even the most bullish ones, they're seeing a lot of their Twitter or their X, let's say, followers or following or traction kind of dip down. Now, they may argue, and I've read a couple of interviews and watched a couple of interviews before with regards to the team manager, let me pronounce his name, Tarek, before, speaking about their engagement. And I do really see that their engagement, although is not, let's say, large, but it is of quality, and I can agree with that. Now, it's quality versus quantity, and their aspect with regards to that ratio between quality and quality is very viable. It's very viable. So you're not talking about a mass amount of tweets of nonsense. You're talking about quality tweets with high quality engagement per tweet, which for me is very good. But at the end of the day, their engagement themselves, the tweets that they issue, or their posts or X posts that they actually issue as a team, has been coming down significantly. Okay, so that for me is problematic. You got to keep on board. Now, I'm not saying that it has to be shilling or it has to be anything, but it needs to be engaging. And to justify that, we'll go on their Twitter a second. You can see that they haven't posted for a little while. Okay, so let's continue here. I'll give you some brief outlooks, and then we'll get into some of the more metrics or the details when I show you the infographic that I have prepared for you guys. If you want to get access to that infographic, it is on the Discord. Go feel free to check it out. My links to to all these socials are in the description below. I do post it on Twitter and Discord, YouTube. So you'll be basically, I'll distribute it out to you guys so you can take a quick peek and, you know, maybe do a little quick read. You can zoom in because it is high quality. You can zoom in and read it in more detail if you need to. Okay, let's continue here. It is listed on a few small exchanges. Okay, and of course the argument could be, you know, either the exchanges haven't approached them, and because they're not large, of course, or the exchanges are requesting that the listing fees be paid, and of course the listing fees could be expensive. Now I understand that concept, right? And a lot of the new projects do face that issue, is the listing fees. And do they really feel that it's necessary to pay listing fees when you have decentralized exchanges that are still ready to go, and you have smaller exchanges that are willing to forego such large listing fees just to get going because they're new as well, right? So that's what you kind of have to understand, is that new projects look for other, let's say, collaborations with other new projects, and they help each other and scratch each other's back. Nobody has the upper hand here. And if you're going to be looking for a collaboration with a larger project or a larger exchange, in this case for them to support your token, they're going to want to be paid. And unfortunately, you know, those listing fees sometimes can be really high. So it's both a negative and a positive when you think about this. These listings is, of course, the negativity, you know, the liquidity and all of that kind of stuff. Being able to get access to liquidity is a bit, you know, difficult on smaller exchanges. But then again, what about when they do get listed? And we'll talk about that more. So right now, CoinX, TX, Bit, Safe Trade, and whatever this is. Okay, so let's continue. Directories, you can check them out on all these directories: Coin Market Cap, CoinGecko, and all of the rest. Obviously, these are the two heavyweights. Partners. Now, this is a little bit of an area of confusion that needs a little bit of elaboration. Are they a partner, or is this a project that is built on their ecosystem? This is something to consider, okay? Because when a developer or when you release a blockchain, a layer one particularly, people can basically build on your layer one, use your layer one as a base layer to build projects upon. Now, Pac-Man, in this case, could be a project that was built on it. Is it necessarily a partner? Is OCTASPACE directly involved with Pac-Man's development? I am not sure here why it would be listed as a partner, or is it a member of the ecosystem? So that's something to consider. Now, I am not clear as to whether Pac-Man is a positive or a negative. And again, it's no way that they can limit, in this case, Pac-Man from building on their blockchain. However, when you look at what the website is all about and you look at what this project is about, it doesn't really align itself well to let's say the trends in the crypto space, or even, you know, maybe with Octa particularly, right? So for your coin, NFTs right now is a very touchy subject. A lot of people lost a lot of money with the NFT craze. Which would you participate in online game? Okay, virtual reality, you know, the meta and augmented reality. So we're talking about two concepts, you know, metaverse and augmented reality and NFTs, that really took a fat beating in this bear market. And I'm not sure if it's a positive thing to be, you know, directly involved, right? So I'm a bit skeptical on this, and it does look a little bit, you know, I don't know, it does not really align with a serious project for some reason. I'm not really feeling it. So it could be a personal thing, guys. I'm not here to spread any FUD or anything, but I'm not really feeling this whole idea and even their whole concept here. I would really like something a little bit more serious. And if it is a partner, that needs to be kind of like clarified. What aspect of this partnership are they directly involved in? Or is it just that, you know, Pac-Man is built on their ecosystem? So clarity for me is important. And I think that's what we kind of need here. So not that it does really matter completely, but again, more clarity is the better. You feel a lot more comfortable going forward. Okay, that's their front page. That's where they got the majority of the information. Console, is that what this is? I'm assuming. Let me click. Oh no, this is sign in with Google. I'm not doing that. That's probably how you get involved or can use their services. Documentation. Okay, a bit of a documentation here. Maybe considered a bit of a white paper. Official sites, nodes, installation, update and uninstall Windows, okay, for Linux verification. All of this is how to become basically a node and get your node going. Services, VPN. Again, they got this going on. GPU, overview, this is not really a white paper. This is just basically some documentation. Cryptocurrency specification. Okay, so a lot of good information here. Block rewards. Okay, I'm looking for a particular. I know what I'm looking for. I've seen it before, but we'll continue. Pools, solo, okay, staking, monetary policy. Here we are. So there's different, and their monetary policy is essentially very similar to a halving or a basically a deflationary distribution. Over time, the amount of rewards gets cut down, and over time, that essentially reduces the amount of supply that enters the market. So that's very interesting, very necessary for a very strong economy. So we can see that is basically that's what happens here with this graph. Over time, as you enter the different phases, and they call them eras. I forget which era we are in. I'm going to show you another. This should be listed on the website, but I don't see it here on the website. But there are some other aspects or another infographic or a PDF that they did release with a lot more, let's say, visuals, and it's a lot more organized. So I like that better. But nonetheless, this is the way their token is being distributed. You can see that miners get a bit, stakers get a bit, and the devs get a bit, and this is the total of distribution, and these are their blocks, right? How basically each era. And as the era continues, you can see that it decreases over time, how much basically rewards get released. So it's somewhat deflationary, very similar to what Bitcoin does. There's the halving, and after every halving, the amount of tokens that get distributed decrease over time. So this is good for the economy. It's slightly deflationary here, having that deflationary aspect, putting pressure on supply as time passes. Really good for its tokenomics nonetheless, okay? So that's a good thing. What else do we have? 1 minute, 1 hour, okay. This is the reward distribution scheme. Collateral, node, there's 60, so this is the actual rewards, 60% for the base for each node, 10% for the VPN, 10% for renters, and 20% for GPU rewards. So if you fall into any of these categories or all of them, this is the way you're going to be rewarded for your nodes, okay? So this is really cool. This is the way you're going to get compensated for sharing to the network, or basically sharing to the potential services that you may have to offer, the computing services. So that's good. How to configure a little bit more there, wallets, blah, blah, blah. Okay, pretty cool. Okay, let's move on. Let's find something else. What else can we look at? Requirements. Where did I go? I went far in. I wish I can just, let's see. VPN, that was it. There was a, let's see, Explorer roadmap. We talked about the roadmap. It keeps bringing us down. White paper, let's do that. What I would want to kind of bring to your attention is, okay, the introduction, OCTASPACE focus, machine learning. But even before that, the key features. Let's see if I can zoom in just a bit so we can see this in a little bit more detail. Okay, key features, OCTASPACE, powerful hybrid, 51% attack-proof blockchain to increase transparency. So they both offer a layer 1 and a layer 2. Layer 1 being the base layer where people or individuals, developers can build projects up on, and their layer 2 solution that basically offers speed and scalability and all that stuff that we look for in a typical real-world use case blockchain. Okay, so it offers best of both worlds. Now, I know a lot of people are probably saying, why is that the case? Why didn't they just build it on Ethereum or build it on another blockchain, right? Well, in this case, they are able to basically control. Basically, it's all about control. And I understand that. I understand they want control. They want to think future. They want to make sure that the project is bulletproof in the sense that they could control how the layer 1 works and ultimately control the way the layer 2 works. Because let's say that they use a different layer 1, and the layer 1, let's say Ethereum, does an upgrade, then they're going to have to go and change their basically their layer 2. They're going to have to go and change the way OCTA works in order to, basically be in tune with what Ethereum did with regards to its changes. So right now, in my opinion, it's all about control, which is good, and the consensus. Proof of work, they wanted to keep it proof of work, very decentralized, which in my opinion is really good. A lot of the new projects are going to proof of stake, and I am on the fence about that. I'm purely on the fence about that because of the overall centralization that proof of stake offers. The more you have staked into the blockchain or to the network, the more, let's say, you have control over the network. Let's put it that way, very plainly. Okay, so right now, proof of work, basically you're going to be rewarded the same way, very similar to way Bitcoin works, proof of work. Okay, so that's good. And it's tested. It's known to work great. Yeah, there's a bit of an issue. A lot of people talk about how energy inefficient it is. Guys, do your research on that. Guys, make sure that you dig deeper into what that's all about. Don't follow all the mainstream news. Proof of work is still a very, very viable way of, keeping the blockchain alive. So let's move on here. Block time, you see here that they talk about 15 seconds. Actually, in fact, they were able to achieve 13 seconds, which is good. And again, I don't want to get into a little bit too much more detail here, but there's a few total supply. We'll talk about the tokenomics in a second, and their monetary policy. We'll do that right now. So you can see here proof of work and all that good stuff, very important. But if we scroll right back up to what we were talking about in a second, they use that hybrid type of technique, layer 1 and layer 2. Easy to use interface, okay. Basically there's a learning curve for everything, but in this case they claim for it to be easy to use. Provide infrastructure to deploy applications and data place, okay, fine. Implement VPN marketplace. So they have, they're kind of basically giving you an outline what they plan on doing and offering going forward. Machine learning, digital image processing, CGI rendering, scientific modeling. So there's a lot of good application for, in this case I can see GPU type of processing, and then of course they offer all the rest, right? So I see that the overall hype right now is that GPU processing. It's because of the multi-core capabilities of a GPU. You're allowed to basically process data that is minute, but very, very quickly, and very small amounts of data and at a high pace, and at a large scale. And if you look at what AI does, for example, or even graphics rendering, that's the vector in that case requires a lot of small computations very quickly, and many of them. In this case, the GPU does a great job of doing that. So I guess based on that hype and that whole let's say trend that's happening here in the market, guys, that would be one of the greatest applications that it could offer. The whole machine learning, the CGI, the digital imaging, even the scientific modeling would be great, very, very good, especially when it comes to maybe academia and all of that good stuff. When we're going to talk about their academia concept very, very soon, guys, so stay tuned, because I believe that could be their biggest partnership or collaboration that they have going on. But there's a bit of an issue here because there's no transparency with that collaboration. We'll talk about that in more detail in a second. Okay, let's continue. The white papers is here, of course, and one thing that I wish they would have done is provide a little bit more detail with regard to this, because how much of the total supply are the devs gonna actually take? How much are the stakers, the miners, and all of that good stuff? I want more of a clarity. Now, I shouldn't have to sit here with a calculator and add all of this up, and nowhere do I see that clarity. Okay, so that's something to consider. Now here, I did provide that. Let me kind of quickly, you know what, let's do that in a second. I'll give you the clarity soon. We'll look at the infographic, we'll look at some of the things that I prepared in a second, and of course the overall deflationary aspect after each era. OCTA, I'm not even going to try to pronounce these, but you can see since the 2022, they've been slowly releasing, and slowly as time passes, you're seeing that the overall amount of coins are going to be released, but at a deflationary rate. They plan on having them fully basically diluted in 2027. So there's a significant amount of time to actually get these tokens fully diluted. And for me, that is great, because you're not going to see a full spike in supply hitting the market, tanking the pricing, obviously giving that sell pressure. So for me, that's a bonus. We want this project to go slow and steady, and to be sustainable going forward, and not get basically swamped with a bunch of tokens hitting the market. So for me, that's just really good. I do expect, the price to take a bit of hit after we see some of these tokens, after the halvings and supply shocks and all of this. It's very similar to what Bitcoin does after every supply, cut. But at the end of the day, this is a very responsible way of distribution. What else do we have here? Let's kind of scroll through and see if we find more thing. Distributed rendering, instant file sharing, very typical about what they offer. Again, guys, do your deep dive on your own as well. Go read all about their details with what services they're offering. just to sum it up, it's the decentralized distributed computing services and, that type of stuff. And for me, that's a really, really hot narrative going forward. Let's go back to their website again and see if we can find some more things to talk about. We talked about the team already a little bit and their links. Now, again, I think that their website could be due for a bit of an update. Let's go on their Twitter for a second. So OCTASPACE, following followers, 9,000, very, very small amount of followers, okay? And of course, it is a very small project. It's only 1 year old project. And it looks a lot newer than you think because it just recently got a little bit of the hype, which is great because you're getting in nice and early. But nonetheless, 9.7 thousand followers here on X is, very small. So there's a lot of potential growth here. One thing that I want to be really, really clear about is that this infographic or this PDF right here is a really good resource. Let's see if we can open this up real quick and kind of scroll through. Can I download this? Or I did download this before earlier on. I'm sure there's a way to get access to this somehow. Show more right here, files. Okay, here we are. So we can zoom in. And it's a very, let's say, more clear, nicer way of basically presenting the information that we already talked about. Go check it out. I think it's really good. A lot of the lists, unique selling points, of course, value propositions, transparency, security, comprehensive services, decentralized marketplace. Again, the decentralized aspect here is the key factor that separates it from other distributed processing or services that they offer out there. And that for me is very important, allowing the individuals that join this network to offer their computing power the option to set their own pricing, which is ideal. Removing the centralization, guys. I'm all about that. I really, really do like that. The blockchain, the layer 1, layer 2, the different eras, again, just in a little bit of a different schematic here. Emission schedule, go check that out. Timeline, again, you see it's very repetitive. So check it out. I think it's a lot nicer, and this should be on their website ready to download as well. Okay, so let's move on. Let's find some other stuff that we can kind of dig up here. What else? If we continue going down, we can see that, let's see if I can get right on here. Go back and we can continue. They have a partnership going on with Tangent, which is a wallet, okay? And on their website, unfortunately, I did not see anything with regards to this relationship. And this is where, for me, I've been doing deep dives now for a couple months, very, on the channel specifically, and giving you guys information. And a lot of these projects don't take the time to update their website. And I'm very aware that it does take time and effort to get that happening. But part of the communications aspect of running any business requires that the website be up to date. Now, I didn't really see this anywhere and it needs to be there. And they had some time to do it. Now, I don't know how old this relationship is, but right now this post is 2 hours old. And I'm sure this relationship was established, a while back. But we really, really need to see these relationships on their website. We can't rely on scrolling through a feed to actually get up-to-date information all the time. Yes, it is a good way of making announcements, but it's not a website. You need to update the website to get that going. So when investors want to go see exactly what partnerships and collaborations they're involved in, it's nice and clear. And again, apologies for the Twitter hiatus. Just that says that, they need to put a little bit more dedication towards their communication aspect. Communication is important, whether it be the website, the Twitter space, whatever it is. Certain amount of marketing dollars need to be applied to their communications efforts. Okay, now I'm not trying to be fuddish or bearish here on this project, and I understand that we're in a bear market, and spending marketing dollars in a bear market where investors are not really interested in, let's say, speculative assets or risk on assets. I know that you're pretty much putting your marketing dollars to a bit of waste. I get it. But the reality is that this is the time to actually build traction amongst the community members that are here to stay. The ones that are going to give you the foundation, the ones that are going to be diamond handing or basically holders of this project throughout any negativity. So this is where you got to have to build those relationships, and you got to put a few marketing dollars or a few marketing efforts here on Twitter space. And now I'm not talking about shilling. I'm not talking about making, type of tweets that are not, tasteful for the brand, but I am talking about even as, updates like this a little bit more frequently and a little bit more, like even ones like these or whatever campaigns that your marketing efforts can kind of bring here to the community. That's all I'm talking about here. Even if it's grassroots type of marketing, guys, that is totally fine, but you need to get engaged here on the Twitter space. We know the value of Twitter. We definitely know the value of Twitter, or X nowadays, but we need to get that traction going. Okay, so that's very important. And there was another partnership that I found to be really interesting. Innovation. It was Dynex. Let's see if I can find that one. Somewhere around here. See this? Oh, the Princeton Vision Labs, another collaboration from that academia aspect. Guys, this for me is the most bullish aspects as far as collaboration. That crypto space, the crypto blockchain technology actually came from academia. And this is where this is where the most of the valuable research comes from. And partnering up with academia for me is great, especially with providing, services even to academia and learning from academia on how to improve their product for me is great. But you got to make it clear on their website. You shouldn't have to scroll down Twitter like this and go through even all the ads and all the nonsense to actually, filter out and get the valuable information. Like there was another one. This is so cool, guys. Go check it out. Really good. And the fraction of, basically, let me reword this, the amount of investment, financial investment required to actually get something like this going is very minute in comparison to other services out there. You're talking about potentially a couple of dollars to get something really going, or a few cents to get something going, in comparison to maybe hundreds and thousands of dollars, right, for CGI rendering and so on. So for me, this is really, really good. And this is the value that, a decentralized network offers, where you get many computers working together to basically achieve one goal, right, in a very decentralized way. So for me, this is really, really, really good. I like this concept. Let's continue. There was one relationship that I really want to talk about. Of course, there's Tangem. I don't even know if I missed it. Look at the quality. Look at the quality, guys. This is what we're looking for. This is what I think the space needs, definitely. And that's why scrolling through the Twitter is great, but it shouldn't be like this where I have Pac-Man. Again, that relationship, I don't know if it's a positive or a negative. I'm on the fence about that one. CoinX, guys, that's where I'm considering building a nice position on this project. Guys, I even can find it, the one on Dynex, which is basically a great partnership in my opinion. It's a partnership that basically the Dynex focuses on supercomputing. Okay, there we go. Focus on supercomputing. Go check it out. They have their own coin. You can go check out what they're all about. A next generation platform for neuromorphic computing based on new flexible blockchain protocol using Dynex. Proof of, I forget what it is, proof of something work. Okay, nonetheless, guys, go check it out. There's a good partnership. It directly relates. There is a bit of negativity with regards to Dynex here and there as a potential chain from their behalf, but nonetheless, it looks like it's a good collaboration here, or partnership, given the fact that Dynex focuses on supercomputing and OCTASPACE obviously focuses on computing in general. So looking pretty good overall, we can see. But again, having to scroll through like this to actually find their partnerships for me is not ideal. Okay, so we got to get that website going. We got to get somebody there to update it up. I like their link tree. That's pretty cool that you can go on here and get all their links to all their various socials and their aspects that they offer here and their communications. Guys, I have the same thing. Go check it out in the links description below. I do have my link tree as well with all my links to all my other socials and all that. Go check them out. All right, let's continue. What else do we have here on yeah, there's some good partnerships nonetheless, but just not on the website. What else do we have here on the website? We went to their Twitter. We're slowly zoning in here, guys. We're slowly zoning in. Let's look at some of these tokenomics. Let's begin there. Let's look at the OCTASPACE. Right now, we have a market cap at about $16.5 million, guys. That's a very, very small market cap. Now, that's not a negative thing. It's just that we're very early here on OCTASPACE. It's a very young project. They're building it from the bottom up. They're doing it in a very sustainable way. No shilling, no pump and dump scenarios, no schemes. They want it to be very organic, and I really, really appreciate that, because here on my channel, I do a very similar thing. I don't want any pump and dump schemes. I want to be honest and open and transparent. And I think the OCTASPACE, by doing this, their growth is slow and steady, but it's of high quality. Okay, so that for me is very, very important, and sustainable brands essentially work that way. So all the power to them, and I really do align with their idea here. Circulating supply, they have approximately 20 million units in circulating supply, total supply, but with the max supply of 48 million, it suggested that about 50% have to enter the market still. So for me, that means that we have to anticipate that, the vesting period with some of their distribution, especially for the developers, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, how the token is distributed might be unlocked. And obviously, as the halvings or the deflationary aspect of their rewards kind of come down, we're going to see that more and more tokens enter the market fine over time, which is expected. We hopefully won't see so much of a sell-off after after the tokens get distributed, but nonetheless, the deflationary aspect of OCTASPACE should keep the price upwards, very similar to what Bitcoin does, and we'll see the supply shock increase the price. So the tokenomics is perfect. The tokenomics is really good. Fair launch for the most part. We have a really good, clear, transparent tokenomics. So for me, I am happy with that transparency, and it's a very good thing to be transparent with regards to, in this case, capital. Okay, there's no questionable aspect here whatsoever. 24-hour trading volume, guys. I like the volume. The volume is great. 1.4 million, $5 million worth of volume in a very small market cap means that there's a lot of interest and a lot of liquidity there to both get in and out of the market, and that's what you kind of want here for a new project. Okay, fully diluted evaluation, guys. This thing's a baby. It's not even $40 million, guys. This is nothing. This thing could easily just 10x and just still be small. So if you think about it, OCTASPACE has a lot of future growth, given the fact that its fundamentals are decent, and that right now we've been talking about what it's all about. Guys, it looks like it has a strong future right now based on the fact that it has a low market cap and it's fully diluted, is very small. Guys, there's some potential gains here. So the question is, how many gains, right? So let's continue here. We'll talk about this in a little bit more detail. We're talking about the exchanges that it's listed on: XBit, again, CoinX, SafeTrade, and so on. Not many big exchanges here. That could be a positive and a negative, of course. And yeah, looking pretty good here for OCTASPACE so far. Okay, so yeah, now what is my overall verdict? Before we get into that, what I want to do is talk about this aspect. Let's see if I can find it really quickly here. This is my infographic, but I definitely want to talk about this for a second. OCTASPACE token distribution. I want to provide a little bit more clarity, because although they do offer those charts of how the emission is going to happen, I feel like this is a little bit more what we're in tune for or looking for when we're doing a deep dive. We want to know exactly how much of the available token supply is going to go to the team, investors, for stakers, for bounties, in this case, bonuses and rewards for completing tasks and so on, and community and that kind of stuff. So right now, a lot of us focus on how much is the team going to get, and I understand that. Of the total supply will be allocated, 25% of the supply will be allocated to the team. This allocation will be locked up for 12 months. So something to consider here is that although the team is going to be getting 25% over time, slow and steadily, as the distribution happens over the next few years, up until 2027, I think it was, after which it will be released over a period of 3 years. So even after the lockup period gets released, after the 12 months, even after that, it's not like it's going to be issued right away and get a bunch of tokens hit the market. In this sense, the team is going to be getting their tokens over a period of 3 years, so distributing to the team very slowly as well. Which, guys, you got to understand, this is great. This is what you can expect, right? You can expect that the team's going to want to be well compensated as well. And then if this project does very well, everybody needs to eat, and including all investors. So investors will also get 25% of the total supply will be allocated to them. This allocation will be released over a period of 4 years. Staking, again, 25% over 5 years. Bounties, 10%. Total supply. You get what I'm going at. So a little bit of the token distribution, how it's going to be allocated. And then finally, the 5% of the total supply will be allocated allocated for marketing and other purposes. Now, that's very little, in my opinion, but again, the way they're trying to do it is very grassroots, and I respect that. And very grassroots meaning focusing on small community building, relying on the community to actually, and I hate to say it this way, but to do a bit of the work. And if the community does a bit of the work, it is a lot more, let's say, reliable and viable. Okay, so that's the thing here. It's higher quality. You're not shilling, you're not pushing, you're more using a more pull strategy marketing rather than pushing it on the market. And for me, that's a lot more tasteful for a sustainable ecosystem. So I use that, I employ that here on my own channel, and I find it to be a very rewarding way of, marketing your product and your brand. So all the power to them, guys. I really do support that idea. Slow and steady, and getting it grassroots. Okay, let's continue here. What else let's get into the infographic. Okay, let's talk about this right here. So I gave it a bit of a rating. Okay, so my rating may not be directly correlated to what I think here about these concepts. Okay, so I do divide them up into ecosystem, utility, roadmap, team, social, tokenomics, partnerships, and you can see that overall, based on the entire rating, if you look at the average, it might not come up to 9. But when you take into consideration the overall package here on OCTASPACE, I think that it's really, really good. I think it has a great, great future. Now, let's continue. Let's kind of look at, again, just to look at the overall market cap. The trading volume, something that I want to talk about in a little bit more detail here, is approximately 11% of the market cap. I like the trading volume. So when you see a lot of trading volume, for me, it's almost like an indicator that there are people willing to buy and sell. And when the price is going upwards, which it has been in the last little while, that means that there's more buyers than sellers, which means that at the end of the day, the increase means that there's more people buying. Even though there's trading volume, high trading volume, the volume is positive, right? So for me, that is important. That is something that I like to see in a trending project. So for me, this is good. Okay, so the supply and the max supply, that's something that we understand. Half of them have to enter circulation, and we know the overall distribution and how they are going to be distributed to the market. We talked about it already. As of recording, you're looking at about a 70% OCTA. So, price is not a good indication of value whatsoever. It's mostly the market cap that you need to consider, right? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit more. Okay, so let's continue. Let's kind of go over to this section right now. The ecosystem, very new project, very, very clear. There is nothing really built on their layer 1, right? Other than their own project on their layer 2, right? So that's, something to consider. I see this Pac-Man coin on their website. Now, again, there's a little bit of ambiguity here, whether it is a partner or an actual player on their ecosystem. And for me, I'm not really feeling that whole concept. I would have liked to see something, if it is a partnership, something that is more directly related to what they have to offer. Maybe a platform where royalty-free some sort of graphics or royalty-free videos or something like that, or anything more related. I don't like the NFT game. I think NFTs are going to have their comeback. Okay, I think they'll have their time to shine once again, and I don't know if they're going to get back to their previous highs, but to be boasting about NFTs right now after people got slaughtered is not the greatest idea in my opinion, right? So, and equally as important as, the meta and the, overall augmented reality, I think we need to be very careful here. Although this rendering aspect of OCTA could definitely provide value to Pac-Man's ambitions with getting into that virtual reality, we need to be very clear as to, if it is a positive or a negative to be talking about it currently in this current market. I don't know, guys. This is where I'm on the fence. I'm not trying to spread any FUD here, but this is how I feel. Me personally, as an investor right now, I'm not looking into any metaverse or NFT games right now, any NFT plays. Gaming for sure, but I'm not crazy about the Pac-Man concept either. It sounds like an appropriation. I'm not really interested. So for me, 50-50, mostly 60-10. That's what I'm looking at. All right, utility. OCTA has basically a lot happening for their token. It is basically meant to be their overall currency to both reward individuals for mining and all that kind of stuff, and staking and all that, and referrals and all that, but also allowing users of the service to pay in OCTA. So that's important. So not fiat. You're not going onto their website and say, you know what, I want to rent a GPU to render this graphic. And they're not asking for US dollars or any currency. fiat currency. They're basically looking for octas, so a very decentralized currency or ecosystem. Now, of course, they might need an on and off ramp or someone to something like that to make it very convenient. And of course, I'm assuming that that's going to be coming around in their future. But right now, for me, this is the perfect way to do it, considering that here on the channel, and if you guys know, I really do appreciate projects that are trying their best to keep it real with what cryptocurrency or blockchain technology is trying to offer here as a basically as a solution to a problem, which is full decentralization. And for me, this is good. 10 out of 10, 100%. Roadmap, another 10 out of 10. Beautiful, clear, hitting their targets all the time, and very, very clear. That's all it is. Browser extension on the way, and that's what they're working on. Android VPN application. I can't wait to try it out myself. I'm willing to use it. I'm willing to promote it if it works well. And this is where all crypto should be looking into VPN solutions right now, just for safety and overall, let's call it privacy. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. The team is really good. The key members, the two dudes over there that we talked about, they are fully doxed. So for me, that's important. I want to hear a doxed team, no matter how decentralized, no matter how many tokens are in distribution, no matter what. I want to know what the team is all about, because there's always a level of centralization, regardless, even if it's how the marketing dollars are going to be spent. I want to know where those people are coming from and what they're doing to make this project successful. And because they are doxed, the two key members, meaning the head developer and the project manager, I am all about it. Again, the project manager has full-time employment, and for me, that is, questionable. I would like to hear or know a little bit more about what that means in relation to OCTA. So of course, is it a part-time thing? Is he fully invested into OCTA, or is it something where, I don't know, guys? I'm just thinking out loud here. You just got to think about it. There's displacement. There has to be displacement. There's certain amount of hours in a day, and how many hours are allocated to OCTA, and how many hours are allocated to other commitments. And that's all I'm concerned about here. Full transparency. That's all. Lots of experience. Again, this team is the manager, the overall team is really fully experienced with software solution space. So for me, that's really good. Right now, 9 out of 10 for me is good. Just a bit of clarity with regards to their commitments would be great. And the rest of the team is not doxed. Not necessary to have everybody doxed. You just want the main face of the company or the organization fully doxed, so you can see where this team is going. So far, so good. The socials. Now, although the socials, the strategy with the socials could be, again, not spend many marketing dollars. That could be it. It could be that they want quality versus quantity. That could be it for sure. And I totally respect that. But at the end of the day, they need to keep engaged. No matter what it is, no matter what they're talking about. From a marketing background myself, I understand what they're trying to do, but they need to keep engaged somehow. When you see that their overall posts on X have been coming down approximately 53% in comparison to the previous month, that means that they're losing a little bit of interest, or something is being displaced here. Okay, so not to talk negative, but they got to keep up with the flow here. All right, they're a small project. You got to get in. You have to understand that they're small and that they keep it going, and to get investors, or let's say retailers, interested in a positive way, not in a shilling way, interested, they need to keep active. Okay, so that for me is a very negative thing, right? So followers very young, and they need to get social engagement. Now, their argument could be for sure that for every post they get very high quality engagement. And again, it's about the quality versus the quantity aspect. But when you see the diminishing amount of followers and the diminishing amount of engagement that they are putting forward as far as posts, I don't like that. You got to keep up with it. Okay, so again, no matter which way you post it or which way you frame it, they need to put more work on their socials. Okay, so tokenomics, 10 out of 10, perfect. Half of them are about in circulation, 42%. 25% will be vested for 12 months, basically for the team's stake. 5% for marketing. For me, it's a little bit low, especially if they don't plan on doing the work themselves, I don't know how they're going to get that going with only 5%. Again, grassroots doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's a slow grind, and it requires that somebody is there engaging with the small communities in the grassroots. That's usually what grassroots basically means, is that you have to get somebody in there to actually do the work, and that costs time and money. So let's consider that. Rewards, nodes, and dividend payments for OCTA holders, and all that accumulates to about 70%. Okay, so 10 out of 10. I like the tokenomics. Nothing really, no red flags there whatsoever. And I like the fact that there are not really any red flags here on this project. This project right now, that everything is looking pretty good. Partnerships, here again, it's all about clarity, and there's a bit of ambiguity with their new partnerships or the relationships that they have. And I'm going to highlight this by saying, like, you know, Dynex and Tangem are really, really good. That's something that I really like. And unfortunately, it's not on their website. I had to go scroll through their Twitter. Seems to be very selective and looking for the right relationships, again, with that concept of quality versus quantity. Now, one relationship or partnership or collaboration that I haven't really, that I didn't really have an opportunity to account for, because it's not really that clear, is the relationship that they have with the academia. Okay, that needs to be a lot more clear, and it needs to be, let's say, doxed. We need to have links. We need to have official relationship, you know, let's call them proclamations, that we need to have that really clear, because that's a big one. That's an important one in my book. It's a very bullish one. And if you can have an official way of distributing or making the overall public aware of that relationship in a very official way, I think that's going to be very bullish. Get your website going. Get your website with all of this happening, and I think it's going to be very, very positive. And I know some people might say, you know, websites are outdated. I get it, but how you can't rely on Twitter. It's a very dynamic space. You need a static space to really go on there and find the information that you need to actually do these deep dives. And investors are looking to do deep dives all the time. So this is why I'm doing them here for you guys, so that you don't have to do them, and I'll do them for you. Exchanges, CoinEx, of course, for me on the list, they're all small, but on the list, I like CoinEx the most. If I were to get in on it, I would be looking at CoinEx. Obviously, you guys look at all the exchanges that they have to offer there. We have to be careful with centralized exchanges, especially the ones that are small with low liquidity, because at the end of the day, buying and selling and not having that volume there to actually get in and get out of the market is a bit scary. But we can see that there's a significant amount of trading volume here that gives me a bit of security that, you know, there is liquidity to get in and out of the market. So I'm only giving it 2% because we are looking at a very low liquidity, you know, basically marketplace here for this token. However, guys, you can take this as a positive as well. As the team gets fully listed on larger exchanges, again, we're going to expect more and more exposure, more volume, more distribution, and and basically an increase in price. However, guys, right now, the team is not really interested. It looks like, in my book, that either, you know, no exchange has contacted them to list their token, or they're just asking for a fee that's way too high and they're not willing to pay it. Regardless, you know, I kind of understand why. I do understand why they're not willing to pay listing fees, because they could be expensive. And at the end of the day, as a small project, they're trying to do it very grassroots style marketing and get themselves built from the ground up, slow grind to the upside. It's very, very similar to TA, guys. You know, here on the channel, we talk about TA quite a bit. Whatever goes up quick comes down quickly as well. And in this case, if they do a slow grind and they get bigger and bigger nice and slowly, exchanges will approach them in a different light and not have an edge or an upper hand over them. And their overall negotiation will be a little bit more easier. I think that they have a lot of confidence in their product, and that's why they're not willing to basically spend money to gain entries to some of these spaces. And I totally respect that. The only thing we got to be very critical here, we got to get a little bit more volume going. Let's see if we can get listed on other exchanges very, very soon. Okay, I'm hoping so, because then we'll get some of that liquidity, some volume, and some hype, because you know that if things get listed on exchanges, I'm not saying major like Binance or, you know, maybe even KuCoin or something like that, that would be very, very bullish. Okay, so let's continue here. My overall rating, again, you see that flashing. 9 out of 10, guys. 9 out of 10. Let's look at the overall verdict. Okay, the verdict, again, just a bit of a summary here and there, but there's some added value here. Part of the decentralized cloud computing narrative, guys. That's very important. Okay, decentralized cloud computing, or computing services. I'm trying to think about the major narratives here. It's mostly about processing power for AI, and that's the hottest topic, and it definitely aligns itself, and it adds way more to that. It's not just that. And its value proposition, guys, is very important to understand that it focuses on decentralized, basically decentralization and a free economy for their computing services. And for me, that's very important, again, to encompass that whole blockchain decentralized type of environment or value proposition that blockchain offers. So I'm in tune. I like that. That's great. That's positive. Rewards nodes and owners, and dividend payments to Octa holders in Octa coins. They receive their dividends in Octa coins, no other way. And you can use those Octa coins again within their own marketplace to basically buy services. Computing power. You can use that money within or those tokens within the same ecosystem. Trading volume is high, which I really like, guys. I can't really say much. When new projects don't have trading volume, it's scary. These guys have good trading volume in comparison to their market cap. I can't stress that enough. Key, a developer has software and system engineer experience. Bonus. Project manager is full-time employee at a Virgin Pulse, which is a big company, but at the end of the day, guys, how much of his commitment goes there, and has lots of experience in software development space. So for me, you got to be a little bit, on the fence here. You got to be very critical about, again, displacement. And at the end of the day, he has lots of experience. I think about 16 years worth of experience in software development, starting off as an engineer and ending his, the majority of the rest of his career here in project management space. For me, this is great. He's the perfect leader. And again, I'm going to repeat, the strength that he has and the way he speaks and his aggression in a positive way as a leader is really, really good here, guys. So for me, sometimes it's not like, a great project only. It's about the face of the project, and having him as the face of the project makes me very, very bullish. However, both do not really talk about their experience on the blockchain. If you check out their LinkedIn or anything, none of them have any history with blockchain that is, clear or, divulged. They didn't really talk about anything with regards to that. If they do, I would suggest that you make that clear and bring that forward. Not that it's necessary, but it does add value there as far as an investment perspective. The roadmap is perfect, clear, and hits all its targets, and on its way to achieve a lot of its basically objectives in the very short term. I think that they're going to come up with some good stuff very soon in preparation for the bull run that is around the corner. Token distribution, we need a little bit more clarity, what the percentages of who gets what and when and all of that. Maybe that graph or that chart needs to be reconfigured or something like that. So a little bit of clarity there. The socials, guys, again, the socials need a little bit more. You need a little bit more engagement. If you're going to do grassroots, remember, grassroots marketing requires a lot of footwork. It's not just hanging out there and having an account and relying on the followers to do the work for you. In fact, it costs. They say it's basically grassroots requires a lot of footwork. In that case, not a lot of money, but you have to do the footwork. You can't have not both, right? So who's involved? Who's the leader of the communications? And they need to get somebody involved there on communications that they're in the front end ready to go. Okay, so partnerships need to be listed on website, including collaborations with academia, Princeton Vision Learning Labs. That is a great bullish collaboration. I don't think they want to call it a partnership, but it is a collaboration that is worth noting, but it needs to be doxed. We need some confirmation that it's true. I trust them that it's true, but it would be very nice to see something there, a backlink to that relationship. Okay, so no major exchange listings, both a negative and a positive. If we're gonna wait around for Binance or Coinbase to list them, guys, the price is gonna be pretty much matured at that level. So in this case, what we really want to do is get in early. So before they get listed on major exchanges, this is the time to consider. Now, for the final metric here is, what do I think of this project with regards to price target? You can see it flashing in your face there. I think it could hit a $50 target. I don't see a reason why not. I don't see why it can't hit that target. Let me explain why. No, I know Render, is very similar okay, and offers one aspect of what OCTASPACE is trying to provide. It specializes in GPU rendering and for AI and all of that stuff, which is great. And it is a beast of a project. No one can deny that. I am a render bull. I love render. However, guys, you have to be clear with what it's about. And it is about, at the end of the day, it doesn't encompass decentralization as much as I wish it should. Okay. And Akasha Network is another one that is up and coming, very similar to render, and potentially tackling a very similar proposition. There's other ones like Flux, and there's a few other out there. But I'm going to keep Render in mind, because I think that Render, although did very well, I think a lot of their hype came from the Apple news and the fact that Render pretty much is one of the first ones in this concept, doing this concept. So it does have a little bit of the first mover advantage here. And right now, its value is pretty high. In my opinion, I think Render, with regards to its value, came to a very overvalued position. So if you look at it in terms of Render, I think that you can get an easy 40x, type of thing, getting the price target to about $29. But then I start thinking, well, this is a very, very young narrative in general. Decentralized computing is a very young thing right here. There's not much happening, not much competition in this exact, space, or let's say area or topic. And in this case, there's a lot of growth potential, right? And we are in a bear market. And I'm going to value it based on Render's current market cap. In a bear market means that Render in itself is undervalued big picture as well. So where could this thing go? It could make a 40x, bring it to about $30. But what about the rest of the market cap that needs to enter the market in the bull run just to meet its previous high of a $3 trillion market cap? It could easily get to $50. Now, what about the added more market cap, the growth in the overall crypto space? We might go to $5 trillion market cap. This thing could easily hit a $50, $60. I'm saying 50 for a modesty. I don't see why it cannot reach $50. $50 is very possible here. And if you look at Render, and I'm talking about it competing with Render, I can see it competing with Render because we do need some project to be Render's Coca-Cola or to Pepsi to Coca-Cola type of thing. And I can see OCTASPACE doing it. I can definitely see OCTASPACE catching up. The fact that it's fully decentralized and encompassing what blockchain technology is all about is a positive. And when this comes to light through marketing efforts and communications, and maybe through Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, I think that the overall retailers in the up and coming bull run will find this to be a very important value proposition, especially for those people that really, really appreciate what blockchain solutions are trying to achieve. Right? So I give it a 9 out of 10. Although there are some negatives, sometimes the positives outweigh the negatives in a very, very dramatic way that it does shift the overall rating. In my opinion, right now, this thing is a great place to take a bit of risk, because I can see some good potential here, guys. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a huge favor, slap that like button. And I know you here to talk about charts. What do I feel about the price? Now, future targets is about $50. Of course, we could definitely hit that at the top of the bull run. But what about in the midterm? Are we going to be looking for those entries? Let's look at some of these charts. OCTASPACE is definitely rallying up in the last little while, looking quite strong, getting a nice pump to the upside, hitting some really good extension levels. Could we be consolidating for a further continuation to the upside? Very possible. Or could we be coming down for a bit of a dip so we can buy at lower levels? Let's take a look here. You can see that right now, OCTASPACE is not in a time, in my opinion, on the daily, on the 4 hour. Let's see what the daily is looking like. Let's get big picture for a second here. On the daily, guys, there's nothing really to say. On the daily, this is not the time to get in. Unfortunately, from a technical, analysis perspective, you're getting in on a green candle like this means that you're asking to be exit liquidity, potential exit liquidity. We are consolidating here. We are putting in a bit of volume, supply and demand here at about 80 cents, which means that, yeah, maybe we get a little bit of a pattern. Maybe we get a bit of AM pattern, head and shoulders type of thing. We're looking for bearish divergence. It's still very early here on the daily to call any shots. But at the end of the day, I'm not getting into any fresh longs here on the daily time frame. There's no way. Look at this rocket to the top. Really, really good, strong movement. Now, where could we actually look for potential support? I'm looking at the bottom of this volume gap, guys, in between the current position that we're in at 80 cents all the way down to about 51 cents, there is no supply and demand to act as support. There's nothing here. Straight up price action. And whatever goes straight up comes straight down. We know that that happens. We can get a deep retracement all the way down to a potential support, down to an 886 retracement, a golden pocket retracement, whatever it is, guys, we could see that happen. Now, below this horizontal, you do see, a bit of increase of supply and demand, not significant, but the majority of it is right here. I would say that this is another point of control, very equivalent to this point of control down here. Okay. So this is an area to watch out for. If we do come down to these levels, I just want to highlight the importance of this zone. We do have a volume gap that usually we hold support on. This would be the last line in the sand to actually expect this thing to actually come down to extreme levels. For me, if we get a red candle down to this level, I would be happy to buy the dip with really good certainty that we're going to be getting some support. And of course, you know my green arrows here, guys. I put these in to just keep myself accountable, but this is a very bearish price target currently for me for OCTA. If it comes down to about 30 cents, 37 cents, I will be scaling in very, very heavily. Now down here we have the point of control. I am almost certain, based on the hype that we're getting here with OCTA, that we're not going to come down here, because I know for a fact that I would be spamming that buy button if we came down here at about 24 cents. So if that were to happen, guys, of course you got to anticipate that that could happen. But let's be real. Okay, let's be real right now. We have some work to do to get down there, and I don't know if we're going to come there real quick. What we want to do is see the daily time frame, the momentum fully reset to oversold conditions first, before we even consider these bearish price targets. We have this to deal with. We have the horizontal at 57 cents to deal with first. If we do come down, which is very possible, you can see that we do have a weak zone. Again, based on the supply and demand and no support underneath, it could quickly drop right down to these levels, okay? Fall right through down and get some support here. So for me, great area to buy the dip would be, again, right there. Let's kind of put a green arrow right here. For me, this is great. And you can see that we did kind of wick down, and we were able to snag a few quick blind orders at these levels, one right here, and then we quickly bounced. That's an unfortunate thing that we didn't consolidate here, but that wick gave me a few little small entries, which I'm happy about. But look at the divergence, guys. We are getting a bit of volume, which I like, but the divergence is not looking good, in the sense that the price action is moving up, and we're getting an exaggerated divergence to the point that the price action hits some really good bullish price targets, while the RSI is downward sloping. Right, you can see that clearly here on the momentum on the RSI. So for me, that means that, you know, this impulse to the upside is pretty weak as far as momentum, as far as, you know, could it be sustainable? I would be taking profits personally, guys. I would be looking at this as a great opportunity to scale out of this project little by little on your short-term spot positions, and on your long-term spot, be ready to accumulate and hold, right? Because this is looking like it could be a great project for the future based on, you know, my deep dive, guys. Go rewind, go check it out. The deep dive is looking pretty good, and I think that it could get some good bullish momentum, especially in a bull run. Now, as far as a retracement goes, should we use that wick? Is it considered price manipulation? Whatever it is, if you exclude the wick, right now where that green arrow is at 57 cents, that's a golden pocket retracement. If you include the wick, that's a 786 retracement, or a 50 Fibonacci retracement, and that's still a decent retracement. So I'm going to be waiting for this zone right here for sure. This right here, I'm going to be waiting for to see what happens if we get a retracement, a pullback to that level, and I'll be scaling in. We have previous price action to act as support, which for me is great. And then if we happen to grind lower, we're going to look at this point of control zone, but, you know, scaling in here and here would be the best area. And anywhere between, if we see some support and we see the daily time frame fully reset, again, down to oversold conditions on the RSI, guys, that would be the zone to start looking for entries. Right now, we're overbought. It's clearly overbought, right? Very, very overbought. Now let's get into the 4 hour. We're overbought on the 4 hour as well. Very overbought. In fact, we could be getting some signs of bearish divergence at the top of the range. We have lower highs, higher highs. Nothing really, no clear signs of bearish divergence just yet. Just a bit of a consolidation. This could be a bull flag for a continuation up for sure. Do we have any extension levels? Again, that wick bothers me because I can't apply really good entries and exits, or overall, like right now we're hitting that 1.618 extension. You can see that perfectly, hitting it, getting a reaction, coming back down, and then potentially getting to higher levels perhaps, right? So let's see what happens. I would be considering taking a bit of profits right here, and I feel like I should be, you know, putting my money where my mouth is and saying, you know what, let me put a red arrow in here sorry guys, let me try to reuse this. Let me put a red arrow, because I think that this is a great profit-taking opportunity for your short-term spot positions, not long-term, just short-term. If you were able to get in here around these green entries at the bottom of the gap, guys, this was the zone right here. We got a few touches here and we hung around here for a while, and now's the time to potentially take a bit of profits on that swing to the upside, right where we are right now. Now, if we continue up, guys, we're in price discovery. We could hit the, a 2-to-1 ratio. We can hit 3-to-1. We can hit 2.618 extension at $1.20. Who knows where we're going to go in price discovery, right? That's the beauty about price discovery, but the risky part of price discovery is you don't know where you're going to get that rejection. So for me on the 4-hour, again, we're overbought. Again, on the 4-hour, the MACD is looking a little bit weak, looking that the EMAs might want to cross and come down and get a bit of relief to the downside, maybe get into the bearish control zone for a bit. Who knows? But it looks like we got a nice volatile move to the upside, and I'm expecting a nice volatile move to the downside eventually. So let's wait for some patterns. Let's wait for bearish divergence. We didn't break any structure just yet. Higher highs and higher lows. I would be waiting for a bit of a structure to form here on the 4-hour, right? A bit of a break of trend, break of structure, lower high, maybe a lower low as a confirmation, or higher low as a confirmation low. In that case, in that case, we'll be slowly entering a potential short. Would I be shorting OCTA? Probably not, guys. Probably not. I would just be looking for accumulation, waiting for it to dip and be able to scale in at lower levels. Okay, guys, so here on the 4-hour, we're doing okay, looking good. I would be getting very defensive with my short-term spot position, trailing up that stop loss and taking a bit of profits bit by bit, because if we do roll over and get that back test, you can scale right back in at about 57 cents and maybe even a bit lower. Guys, stay tuned for those updates. I'll definitely keep you posted with regards to OCTASPACE and what the price action does and unfolds in the next little while. Guys, if I've offered you any value here in this deep dive video, do the channel a huge favor, slap that like button. It does really help out with that algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join that Discord group. It's a great community, great place, great alpha throughout the day, lots of setups, lots of fundamentals. Guys, take care, have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.